Whatever became of the days of high adventure and magic?
Welcome, friends, to another jaunt, to the world where knights and lords do flaunt their holograms on chests and staffs. May you be enlightened and have some laughs. It's off to Prismos to take a peek at toys that could have made us shriek with jubilance in '88, but this great line had a sad fate.
Drat!
Now all that's left is pics and art, some short bios, a little heart, and magic, which will fuel this tale of the greatest toy line to still fail.
Drat!
Greetings, spectral spectators and darkling dwellers. It's time for another trip to the magical world of Prismos for the History of Visionaries 1988 edition, part 1 of 3, the Unproduced Spectral Nights. And unlike most toy lines that sputtered by the end and only had a few prototypes that didn't make it to the production stage, the second year of Visionaries was going to be a banner year for the bannermen of unicorns and dragons.
Oh, how that grieves me.
9 Spectral Knights, 9 Darkling Lords, 6 Sun Imps,
Sun Imps are nasty, magical creatures.
6 vehicles, and a giant playset hope to see light in '88. Phew! These amazing designs have dwelled in shadow for far too long. It's time to cast some magical light on this magical world again. 16 figures were planned on single card compared to 8 of the previous year, with 2 more to be included with vehicles for a total of 18 magical men-at-arms. Not only were there going to be more figures released than the first year, they would each have more holograms too. While the first year figures had 1 hologram on their chest, and another on their staff that alternated between their faction symbol and their magical power, the second year figures would each include a chest totem that alternated to their faction symbol, and then their power shield would also have 2 different holograms. That's right, I said power shield. Rather than the awkward power staves of the previous year, most of the figures in '88 would have included the more practical power shield, no doubt inspired by Galadria and Viralina, who both had magical shields in the comic.
Summon the Spectral Knights!
Let's start off with the Spectral Knights.
Charge!
First, there was Cragger, who included a red double-headed pickaxe instead of standard silver for Spectral Knights, a little goblin-looking dude, and Power Shield. His Power Shield's hologram changes from a strange-looking beast to a horned creature with lightning shooting out of its hands. Since no power poems were released for any of these figures, I'll fill in the blanks with my own interpretations of what these magical warriors would recite as they headed into battle. For Cragger, I imbue his shield with the power of attack. For all who dare to threaten peace, feel these dual blasts and swiftly cease. His chest hologram alternates between the Spectral Knight unicorn and an older, and perhaps wiser, looking version of Cragger himself.
Being old means having a power of wisdom, worth more than the inexperience of youth.
So another change to the follow-up year was that chest totems didn't necessarily have to be animals anymore.
At the risk of seeming tactless, I humbly suggest this is the stupidest idea I ever heard!
Then there was the heroic Hydron, who included a crossbow pistol, the bow part going vertical instead of the traditional horizontal design on crossbows, and his helmet looks semi-transparent. His power shield's hologram depicts what is most likely an aquatic creature. I shall grant it the power of breath underwater. May those whose lungs require air now breathe water with no despair! Now, to address the holographic elephant in the room. Hydron's totem is the dolphin, which was Galadria's totem. Rather than making a Galadria figure, they made a new character named Hydron and gave him Galadriel's totem.
I'm really sorry, Galadriel.
It seems by this point Hasbro had given up on making female figures in toy lines that were largely aimed at boys, since they hadn't made Galadriel and Viralina figures in '87.
We are not pleased.
And hadn't made any female figures in the Cops and Crooks line, despite there being female characters on both sides in the show.
You welched on us.
It's sad that the company, which was so revolutionary with G.I. Joe figures like Scarlet, Lady J, and the Baroness, completely abandoned making female figures by the late 80s.
Well, there's something wrong, and I'm going to try to find out what.
Mattel had gone in a completely different direction with She-Ra, and I guess Hasbro could use that to prove their point, since that toy line didn't sell very well.
I doubt that.
But I believe 1 or 2 female figures a year would have been perfectly good sellers, as they had been in G.I. Joe for years. I mean, I never saw Scarlet's, Zoranas, or Jinx's warming pegs. And Wolverine tanks with CoverGirl didn't sit on shelves collecting dust.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain.
It's too bad an all-or-nothing mentality had been adopted by this point, preventing a figure for Galadriel despite her being a prominent character on the show. And it's especially disappointing that they'd give her exact totem to some new guy named Hydron that fans had no investment in.
Reconsider. I beg you.
Jinx was the last female Joe in '87, and they wouldn't do another female figure in that line until 1993's Ninja Force Scarlet figure. So some sort of edict did seem to be in place at the time.
Thank you. I think you've made your position very clear.
Next up is Laser Lash, who includes a double-ended axe, helmet, and power shield with some sort of monstrous-looking beast on it. The only photograph that exists doesn't show you his chest totem, only the Spectral Night's unicorn. So let's give him one. Laser Lash, for your greenness, you shall wear the totem of the crocodile. His power shield features a creature that looks like he's starving, so I shall grant it the power of nourishment. May hunger quell and thirst subside, replenish what has waned inside. Then there's Malator, who includes a blaster, unusual for a line filled with medieval weapons, a helmet, and a power shield featuring a bug-like creature on it with eyes that are lighting up, it looks like. Sort of Firefly-like. I shall imbue it with the power of illumination. May shadows ebb and darkness fade, illuminate this somber shade. His chest totem is blocked by his shield in the picture, but there is concept art which features a mammoth-looking creature. Since his working name during design was Elephax or Elephanx, it stands to reason his totem was an elephant-like creature. Next up is Bullwinkle.
No, I'm Bullwinkle.
I mean Mack. He included a sword, a rarity for medieval magical figures for some reason, a helmet with awesome antlers, and a power shield. Another rarity is the synergy between his chest totem and his shield, both featuring an antlered moose-like creature, which changes to a blade-wielding monkey? Well, we almost had synergy. If every line had a new leader-type figure for each side, then Mack could be considered the featured Spectral Knight of '88, as he's prominently shown dueling Draculon, the featured Darkling Lord, in promotional art. I shall grant his shield the raw ramming power of the moose. The walls will shatter and barriers burst before this ramming might head first! Then there's another Ram-rific Spectral Knight, Ramzan. He included a 3-bladed dagger, helmet, and power shield featuring a minotaur, the monster with the body of a man and the head of a bull. I grant Ramzan raw ramming power as well. Collide and crash through that which stands, may sturdy walls be smashed to sands! And he features a ram on his chest for more ramming power. Mack and Ramzan were two of the coolest medieval rammers to come along since Ram Man.
Yahoo! Let's get 'em!
The next Spectral Night was imbued with the power of the mustache. One that would make, well, Leoric proud.
You're always welcome at my table, friend.
Slywire included a thing that sort of looks like a tool. Helmet with a mic on it reminiscent of Breaker.
Over and out!
Indicating he may have been some sort of communications or tech expert. And the biggest power shield of them all, featuring, well, I can't quite make out what it is. Prismos Wiki seems to think it's a pair of demons. So I shall grant it the power of duplication. Where one does fall outmatched alone, now tip the scales with might of clone. His chest totem is also hard to make out. It appears to be some sort of creepy floating head. Sort of like that disgusting eyeball monster in Big Trouble in Little China. Oh my god, no! Please! What is that? Don't tell me! Hey, you never know till you try. Next is the Spectral Night that some believe may have been intended for the Darkling Lords.
No, the Darkling Lords don't want him.
Sir Raytor included a sword-like weapon and power shield cast in the same gold color that most Darkling Lords used.
And, dear boy, what is going on with your chest plate?
But the totem on his chest is clearly the Spectral Night unicorn. Which could have been changed at any point, but as it stands, makes him one of the good guys to me, and keeps the number of heroes and villains even. The power shield features a Triceratops-like Prismosian creature charging. Seems like I'm handing out a lot of ramming spells. Let's try something different. The power to not be stopped. Limited, unlimited momentum. 3 suns shine and carry forth, unstoppable across the swarth. Yes, swarth is a word. Look it up. The 9th Spectral Night was included with a vehicle, the Sky Bucket. Cybron included a helmet and a weapon/tool that looks the same as the one included with Slywire. His chest totem is some sort of Roman centurion dude. No, not those centurions. This really showed how much of an effort they were making to move away from the traditional animal totems of the first wave and onto something weirder. Like Feral and Ektar before him, Cybron could breathe magic into vehicles like the Sky Bucket. A strange name for a ground-based vehicle. It held the driver in the front and a gunner raised in the back, hence the name Sky Bucket. As we can see in the pic, the placement of the guns on the lower level isn't very practical, unless your totem is the turtle. The hologram appears to be a rider on a unicorn, so I shall imbue it with the power of swiftness. May magic fill this iron steed and move its hull with blinding speed!
We still need more firepower.
And 2 small-sized vehicles were released for the Spectral Nights that didn't include figures. Not sure how that would have worked, since only characters without power staves or shields could bring vehicles to life, and these were small one-figure vehicles. The first was the Joust, a small tank-like vehicle with a claw for grabbing Darkling Lords. It also featured a large hologram of a lion-headed, spear and knife-wielding warrior. In keeping with the feline motif, I shall grant it the power of cat-like leaping ability. Lift this craft into the sky, traverse terrain from way up high! And the final offering for the Spectral Nights was the Airblade. Finally, the good guys could fend off the Darkling Lords with something other than Arzon's wings. The bladed wing design sort of resembled Batman's Batwing. Another thing making it even more affordable is that the hologram only featured 1 image, not 2 alternating images like all the others. As it depicts a figure wearing spiked armor and holding a sword forward, I shall grant it the power of piercing through anything. May magic fill this sword's sharp blade and pierce through all before that's laid! That's similar to ramming. Ah well, kids love to smash their toys through things. 3 very special thanks go out for this episode. Thanks to Timothy James Wolfe for sharing his copy of the Visionaries Collector's Guide with me, so that I could share the images from this amazing guide with all of you. For your generosity and graciousness, I shall grant you the totem of the Optimus Prime. Thank you to Christopher Ibbott and Gemma Tovey for designing the Collector's Guide. It's a wonderful love letter to fans of Prismos. So much effort and care went into it, and it's a wonderful accompaniment to any Visionaries collection. For your passion, dedication, and meticulousness, I shall provide you with the totem of the Snake Eyes. And last but not least, thanks to the amazing Visionaries wiki page, prismos.fandom.com/wiki. Lots of great photos with hilarious articles and info on both produced and unproduced Visionaries toys. Hands down the best Visionaries website on the internet. For your wisdom and endless supply of magic, I shall grant you the totem of the Sorceress of Grayskull. And that's the History of Visionaries 1988 edition, Part 1, The Spectral Nights. Next time out, we'll be taking a look at the Darkling Lords.
This will be of great interest to Darkstorm.
Followed by the Sun Imps.
I have yet to hear of Sun Imps.
And one of the most magical playsets never built, the Iron Mountain Holodrome. The follow-up year for the Visionaries was so big, it's going to take 3 parts to cover it all.
Your timing could have been better.
3 episodes align and pour forth their light to fill the viewers with delight.
All we need do is be patient.
Thanks for watching. This history episode was decided on by the Patreon tribe's vote.
You're voting on their side? You treacherous bootlicking sycophant!
If you'd like to join our community and support videos like these, visit patreon.com/MichaelMercy. For as little as $1 a month, you will be granted several magical traits, such as being able to view Patreon-exclusive videos, access to our community forum, and voting on upcoming videos.
I suggest we put the matter to a vote.
If you'd like to share a Visionary-style poem, scroll below and let it flow. And to join the magical tribe, hit subscribe. May the light shine forever!